Hi, third grade. So I want to get started in our reading workbook. And once you've read the story or listened and read along with me a second time today, I want you to go ahead and get started on page 137 in your workbook. Look at the top of the page, Dog of the Sea Waves, Homes for Sale. This is really interesting because this ties in with what we're doing in social studies. It says, when the brothers returned home to the Southern Sea, they wanted to convince other people to move there. They decided to place an advertisement in the newspaper, kind of like what we're doing in social studies. So it says, read page 315. What are some details on this page that will convince people to move to the Hawaiian Islands? Now remember, we're only using the information from our book, nothing else that we know about Hawaii. Because some of you maybe have gone to Hawaii or heard about Hawaii or read about it or seen something on TV about Hawaii. But we're going to pretend like we're way back during that time when the brothers first got there and there were no other people. So on page 315, it says, in the days when the sun, the moon, and the stars guided birds with seeds in their bellies to these islands, when ocean waves brought driftwood teeming with life, when storms brought frightened birds in the clouds and insects on the wind, the Hawaiian Islands grew green and lush. The streams and lagoons rippled with fish, and the forests flashed with the feathers of birds and the rainbow wings of insects. So let's look at that again. It says, what are some details that will convince people to move to the Hawaiian Islands? And in there, I heard some things that I would like to see. I heard that there were lush green forests, was it? Lush green, that would mean a lot of plant life. So lush green plants. It sounds like it says it is teeming with life, and teeming spelled with two E's just means there's a lot of life. It's like overflowing with life. So many birds. Let's see. Fish and insects. Birds, fish, insects. Now, we might not think the insects are so great, but insects do a lot for our ecosystem, and so they might be a great sign that there is life there on the islands. And of course, the birds are going to be eating those insects. So back in those days, people might have eaten some of the birds, but definitely they would have eaten the fish. So it sounds like, let's see, the ocean waves brought teeming with storms, brought frightened birds in the clouds. So it sounds, the forests flashed with the feathers of birds and the rainbow wings of insects. It also sounds like it's beautiful. To me, that sounds beautiful. Lush green forests. We know there's the ocean there and all the wild birds. Let's go to page 318 and 319 in our textbook. Okay, looks like that. And the second question in our workbook, read pages 318 and 319. Here, Manu finds the hurt seal. How can the story of the seal help convince people to move to the islands? Well, let's read it again on 318 and 319. Let's see. The next day, as the brothers were exploring a lagoon, which a lagoon is a little inlet of water, Manu spotted an animal lying at the water's edge. "It's a dog, my brothers, a dog." At last, something familiar in this strange land. But when they got close, they saw that it was like no dog they had seen before. It had flippers for legs, a fish's tail, and the body of a dolphin. And it was badly hurt. Manu tried to calm the animal. He brought cool water and cleaned the wound. He built a shelter against the sun and kept the fur wet with seawater. The brothers left Manu. They had no time for an animal that was going to die. They had to prepare for the long sea voyage home. But the animal didn't die. "I will call you Dog of the Sea Waves," Manu said on the third day as he fed him fish. At the end of the week, the two had their first swim together, and before long they were playing tag in the waves, and Manu had made up a silly chant. "Dog of the sea waves, dog with no paws, dog with no ears, dog with no wag, we are friends." Manu giggled, and Dog of the Sea Waves tickled his cheek with his whiskers. Well, it sounds like there's some interesting animal. And he also sounds like he's friendly. Interesting, friendly. And we don't have to write complete sentences. We're just jotting down some things. So, how can the story of the seal help convince people to move to the islands? Interesting, friendly animals. And you can write down any other ideas that you would like. And we're going to go to page 320 and 321 in our book. It says, "On these pages, the brothers were gathering food." What kinds of food did they gather? We can just list it. We don't need to write a complete sentence. But then it says, "Do you think these details can help convince other people that Hawaii is a good place to live?" So let's find out what some of the foods they were gathering. "Come help me dry berries and roots for the voyage home," called Hoku. Berries and fruit. So I'm going to list berries, fruit. I like those things. "We need fish," scolded Nael. "There's water to gather and sails to repair." Well, fish. Sounds like there's lots of fish. Let's see. And then we hear about how Manu and the seal kind of disrupt the other brothers' work while they're playing in the water. They kind of scare the fish away, and they, let's see. After many, finally, they said goodbye. So they gathered the berries, caught fish, fetched water. So it sounds like there's a lot of berries, fruit, and fish. It sounds like there'd be plenty to eat. I think that might help convince others. So I'm going to answer that second part. Berries, fruit, fish. Yes, it will convince others to come. If there's food to be grown, then they won't starve. And there's no one else there, so they will have all of this to themselves. And maybe they can bring seeds and grow some of their own food crops. So we're going to set that aside and go to page 142 in your same workbook, where we're going to do a grammar lesson on possessive nouns and pronouns. Remember, nouns are persons, places, things. Pronouns are little words that replace the nouns, like Manu was a seal. He played in the water. No, Manu wasn't the seal. Dog of the Sea Waves was the seal. Manu played with him. Him is a pronoun. He splashed in the water. Now, instead of Manu and Dog of the Sea Waves, we could say they splashed in the water. So remember, pronouns are words like he, she, it, they, them. But there are possessive pronouns. My, your, mine, his, hers. And that means they show ownership. When it's a noun, we show this ownership with an apostrophe S. A possessive noun shows that a person, place, or thing has or owns something. I'm right up here. Add an apostrophe and S to a singular noun to make it possessive. Add an apostrophe to a plural noun that ends in S. So if it's single, the apostrophe goes in front of the S. If it's plural, the apostrophe goes after the S. Possessive pronouns can take the place of possessive nouns. Possessive pronouns show ownership, like my, your, his, her, its, our, their. Did you notice there's no apostrophe S? Not with pronouns. The family's outing was to the zoo. Whose outing? The family's. How many families? One family, apostrophe S. The seal's pool was new. Seals has an S apostrophe, so that means it's a pool for many seals. More than one seal is in that pool, and it's their pool. Their bodies moved quickly through the water. Instead of saying the seals' bodies moved quickly, their bodies moved quickly. So let's take a look at the directions. Use the correct possessive form of the noun in parentheses to complete each sentence. And we know the parentheses are these that go around the word choice. It was Charlie's first visit to the zoo. We want to say it's Charlie's. So how many Charlies do we have? One Charlie. So we're going to write Charlie with a capital C because it's his name. Charlie. And we're going to add apostrophe S to show it's his first visit. Charlie's first visit. Number 2, the zoo's Australia section has koalas. Whose section? The zoo's section. And we're talking just about one zoo. So just like we did apostrophe S on number 1, we're going to write number 2, Z-O-O, one zoo, and apostrophe S to show it's the zoos. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. Number 3, the workers' uniforms are a dark green. Oh, they have many workers. They're talking about all of the workers' uniforms. So here we already have plural, workers. How are we going to show possessive with our plural? We're going to put the apostrophe after the S. Now at the bottom of the page, it says use a possessive pronoun. Now this is that his, hers, mine, yours. Use a possessive pronoun to take the place of the underlined possessive noun. Write the sentence. You don't have to write the sentences today. We wrote sentences yesterday. So you may if you like. But we can just replace the noun. So first we have to find the possessive noun. Yolanda saw the dolphin's head peek out of the water. Whose head? Dolphins. Underline dolphins And now what could we replace that with? Yolanda saw, instead of the dolphins, we could say its head. I-T-S. We know it's one dolphin because it's dolphin apostrophe S. So a singular pronoun, its. Yolanda saw its head peek out of the water. The dolphin splashed water onto Yolanda's shoes. Whose shoes? Yolanda's shoes. So underline Yolanda's. There's one girl named Yolanda here we're talking about. Whose shoes? The dolphin splashed water onto her shoes. H-E-R, her shoes, possessive. Now I want you to go back to your spelling page. Let's see. That is on page 140. I'm going to read the sentences and you can decide what words should go in there using words from our spelling list. Number 1, you might do this with shoelaces. They're already tied, so you might want to. Number 2, you would do this to a present wrapped in paper. At Christmas or at your birthday, you have to, the presents. You might feel this way if you didn't know the answer to a question. Oh, I'm just not sure. It's not clear. Oh, there's 2 different words that could work there. To be sure your answers on a test were correct, you might do this. Miss Lewis says, look your answers over again. Do it again. Look again. If you thought someone had cheated in a game, you might think the game was no. You say, that's no. But you're going to use the spelling word. Number 6, you could do this to make some leftover food warm again. We want to warm it up. So we're going to put it in the microwave to it. Number 7, if you didn't like a poem you had written, you might do this to it. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it over. I'm going to my poem. Number 8, you would do this to a shirt you found folded in a drawer. It's all folded nice and neat, but you're going to put it on, so you have to review. Choose a review word and write a clue for it. I think you can do that. Choose a challenge word and write a clue for it. Just like they wrote clues for 1 through 8, you write a clue. Okay? Have a good morning. I'll be back for religion and to read Amelia Bedelia.